Welcome to the Sixth Wheels Consulting Podcast, dialoguing disability and discussing difference, inclusion, and all abilities in today's world. Now here are your hosts, Matthew Shapiro and Bob Nolly.
Hey everybody, welcome back. You found your way to episode 30 of the Sixth Wheels Consulting Disability Podcast. How are you? Glad to hear it. We're good too. Hey, it's Dr. Bob Nolly. I'm here with Matthew Shapiro, and today we finish up our interview with Evelyn Clark. If you haven't been listening to the last two episodes, go back and get them right now and listen to this wonderful lady and what she shares with us. Episode 28, she talks about her work at Washington Lee University as a law student there. And then she talks about the legal perspective of the disability community and the challenges she's faced. And then the next episode, episode 29, is her talking with the utmost sincerity and openness about her most personal feelings about her accident and becoming disabled and how she's dealt with those challenges. So today, to wrap it up, she and Matthew and I talk about the societal perspective and what she sees from her wheelchair. Let's get to it.
Lifted. That's some heavy lifting. Yeah.
And I do want to hit a couple more of these questions. I'll be quick, but
it's your show. You don't have to be quick. It's up to me.
To be quick. I appreciate it. This is nice. Thanks, guys. So kind of shifting away from relationships and kind of going back to, and you touched on this a little bit, but how is society sort of how is society different towards you now as somebody who has a disability versus how they were towards you when you were able-bodied?
Yeah, so I think it's definitely good and bad. I'll use an example. I was visiting my sister in New York, and we were riding the subway, and I was just sitting in my wheelchair, totally fine. And this guy just walked by and put his hand on my shoulder and was just like, "I hope you get better," and then moved on. And my sister was just like appalled. She was just like, "What?" Like, I would never say that to someone who's in a wheelchair or anything. Like, he doesn't know it doesn't look like I'm sick. It doesn't look like there's anything wrong with me. Yeah. I just look like a very normal person sitting in a wheelchair, which I was. Yeah. And I was just like, I get that all the time. And then getting off the subway, I still had no idea what I was doing. So I went front first, and so my casters got stuck in the little space between the subway and the platform. Rookie mistake. And this little middle-aged woman that was walking by just walked by, leaned over, jerked my chair out, and just kept going, that like very helpful. And then that was also the first time I ever fell out of my chair. Was the next day when I was rolling, I hit a curb and fell forward, and like 3 different groups of people just immediately ran over to see if I was okay. Yep. And my sister was like, "Damn, I don't ever get help if I like drop something. Like, everyone's so nice to you. I need to just take you around everywhere." Yeah.
Well, see, my friends usually like me for like the free parking and like getting in the movies and stuff. That's what they love me for.
Oh yeah, that Regal Cinemas ADA pass is clutch.
So clutch.
But yeah, just those little interactions where people will say, "I'll pray for you," or "I hope you get better," or, little things that I'm just like, "Oh, thank you, but I'm fine." Like I'm perfectly well.
You mentioned that, and I think I brought this up on a recent episode, but I'll bring it up again because I just think it's a hilarious story. I was in DC for one of my internships many moons ago, and this guy like came up to me and like was like, "Can I pray for you?" And I'm not a religious person. I've never really been a religious person, and so like I was like super like dumbfounded. And was like, I was so caught off guard. I was like, sure. And so like he puts his hand on my head and does like his little spiel, and he like gives me his card, and like he gives me his card, and he's like, "Okay, call me in 2 weeks when you're walking again."
Oh no.
I was like, what?
Yeah, okay.
I like so badly wanted to like call him 2 weeks later and be like, "I'm healed. It's a miracle."
Let's call him and have him on.
Or be like,
we'll have them on April Fool's Day. Yeah.
Actually, I'm still the same, and that did nothing. Thank you. Like,
still the same, but thanks. No, but it's. I mean, it's funny that you bring stuff up like that because like that happens to me on like a regular basis.
Yes.
And you talked a minute ago about how, like, you when you first got injured, you were kind of like me in the sense that like you wanted to educate people. And I meant to bring this up when you were talking about that then, and I forgot. But I tend to agree with you in the sense that, like, I will still have interactions with folks, but I often find that it is harder to have interactions with older folks, like adults.
Mm-hmm.
And if a little kid would come up to me and be like, "What's wrong with you?" I would never take offense to that, right? Because a child is just a curious being who doesn't understand why the hell does this dude have this Transformers looking machine that he's using. And so it to your point, it is very different, and there are different spectrums when you're interacting with a young person versus interacting with an adult. Because yes, sometimes adults say some stupid stuff.
Yes,
every day, all day long.
Yes.
I would love for more children to ask me what's wrong. That's only happened to me once, and it was my first time out of the hospital, actually, at a farmer's market, like using the bathroom in the church, and this little girl came out who was about 2, and she said, "What are you sitting in?" And she was so cute, and I hadn't really thought about it, and I was like, oh my God, how do you explain a spinal cord injury to a 3-year-old, you know?
Right.
So I did the best I could, but, after that, it's always just the staring, just the constant staring. And then their parents jerk them away, and they're upset and uncomfortable, and I'm uncomfortable, and it's just a whole thing.
Well, let me give you a little tip. And again, I feel like I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry. But one of the things I do, and this has always really kind of worked for me, is because I catch stares all the time. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely love it. Because that is my opportunity to, honestly, I will just flash a smile and be like the nicest person on the planet when I catch something like that. Mm-hmm. Because, again, I know that, that kid is just, in awe of what they're seeing when they see you or I, right? And so, yeah, I in most any interaction, I try to bring about, the most positive result that I can. But even to this day, I still get situations where parents will come up and snatch their child away before I'm able to really have that interaction. And when I'm having that interaction, I frame the interaction in a way that would connect with that young person, right? Where I'm like, yeah, my legs don't work, but I'm kind of like a transformer because my wheelchair does all this really cool stuff. Mm-hmm. Or I get to go fast all the time because I can just, gun my wheelchair and go really, really fast. Or I play a video game all day because I have a joystick on my wheelchair. So I think if you start doing some of that, I think you'll find that those interactions become a lot more enjoyable, and you won't feel that sort of awkwardness when they occur.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I definitely need to work on because, I do see kids in the grocery store and it's getting better. The first couple of years it was just a constant oh, well, I forgot that I'm disabled, and then I see this little kid staring intently, and I'm like, oh, right, I'm in a wheelchair, I'm different, Right. But it's definitely getting better, and I'm hoping to get to the point where I can do more fun educational interactions with kids. Yep. But, talking to adults who are just nosy and want to know, my injury and what happened. And it just gets really exhausting. And I think the reason why I did it so much that first year of my injury was because I was still clawing and trying to say, no, I'm just like you. This isn't really me. I'm not really disabled. This just happened 6 months ago. I'm just like you. Don't think that I'm different.
Shut up and hand me the chickpeas.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. And so I think I've gotten, as that wore off and I became more okay with myself and my abilities or what I couldn't do, then those interactions became a little more exhausting of like, yeah, I know you just want to know what's wrong with me and go through it. And I know your heart's in a good place, but I'm not going to be totally healed in 5 months,
Right. Yep. And so there's something else you specifically said that you wanted to talk about. So I wanted to make sure I brought it up, and that is political correctness.
Yes.
And it is a very fun topic, I would say. As a jumping off point, one of the things that drives me nuts is, and I'll laugh because you'll probably be in the same team and it'll be all right. We can agree to disagree. But one of the things that is most frustrating to me is like when we like try to like make disability sound catchy and cool, and they're like, I'm not disabled, I'm differently abled, or like those just I'm handy capable. Some of those things. Like, what's your take on political correctness and all of that?
Yeah, so I absolutely see, the transition now from disabled person to person with a disability, because I think I can see how that, you're not a disabled person. It doesn't define you. So you are still a person. You just have this extra thing. And so that's something that I've been working on, because I'm so used to saying, well, I'm disabled, such and such, whatever. But I completely agree. The whole transition, like the pushing of differently abled, it's like, no, I am now disabled. I feel that I am placed at a disadvantage. I'm not differently abled. Just because I'm paralyzed doesn't mean that I can read minds. Like I didn't get some kind of different ability when this happened, and so, I like the individual with disabilities, and, kind of interesting the difference between handicapped or disabled. And I know some people whose parents have MS or, whatever, that their terminology growing up may have been handicapped, and that's what people said. And so they think that handicapped to them sounds better than disabled. They say disabled sounds like you can't do anything, whereas handicapped just means you do things differently. And I was like, that's so crazy, because I feel like it sounds the opposite, Yeah. And so I think that's really interesting. And the argument I often use with the word handicapped is just, it's a word that we don't use that much anymore, right? Like you don't hear about, it still exists, but very rarely do you hear it referred to as handicap parking or handicap restroom stall. It's normally now the accessible parking or accessible, so it's a word that we're getting away from. And so the fact that it still lingers is interesting to me. Yeah, I definitely still say handicap parking, which I don't even think about. But something else that bugs me, if I can just say it, is when the handicap parking signs say maximum fine $250. Don't tell people what the maximum fine is, because then they're going to be like, oh, it'll be $50 or at worst $250. Tell people what the minimum fine is going to be. Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. It just bugs me every time I pull in. I'm just like, come on. Yeah.
Aren't I worth more than $250? Please.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just, click that decimal point out of the way to be $25,000.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I do have I have one tough question, and you didn't know about this question, but I'm going to ask it, and if you're not comfortable answering, that's totally fine too. Okay. But because I get this question a lot, and this is even not from the perspective of just a spinal cord injury, but I know this is a big debate in the spinal cord injury world. But I get this question too, of if you could go back to being able-bodied, would you?
I wouldn't. I think that this has given me an entirely new look on life and attitude and relationship with my family and those around me. And I just really appreciate everything I have so much more. Yeah. No, trust me. I get it too. I always joke with people that the only thing I regret is I think I'd have been a hell of an athlete, and I think I'd have kicked your ass on an athletic field. But other than that, I agree. I couldn't agree more.
people like ask me all the time, would I change who I am? And I always say probably not, because my disability gave me a purpose and a reason to like want to help people, and gave me a, like, to your point, like I have so much more like empathy for people. I have great relationships with friends and family. Like, I am a creative thinker. I think outside of the box on a regular basis, as I'm sure you do, because like we have to every hour of every day. And so first of all, thank you for that honesty. I didn't mean to.
That was a wonderful, heartfelt answer.
No, yeah, I mean, I won't apologize for getting emotional, because I know you guys are candid, but yeah, that's something post-accident. I cry at everything. I am very, very emotional.
Sure.
And yeah, anybody will tell you I'll cry at anything. But I do. I think that I have learned to appreciate. And I think, I wonder that answer may be different if I had a higher level injury and I didn't have use of my hands. I don't know.
Right.
But I think that it's given me a new perspective and a new life, and I have fully embraced it and tried to make the most of it, and I think that I will.
Sure. And to add to that, like, and this is one of the big struggles that I have as a person with a disability, because I have talked to a ton of people, that have spinal cord injuries. And there are a lot of people who often say, yeah, I'm going to walk again. And like, I'm going to, like, science is going to solve all these problems. And I by no means like want to like crap on someone's dream, right? Like that's not my intention. But the counter to that is, while I respect that and hope that is the case, like for so many people, like that's like their reason for life, right? And their reason for living. Whereas like my argument would be like, yes, I respect that and understand that, but why not then also try and find the amazing and the, like, it is not a bad thing to be disabled, right? Like it is, does it make your life different? Yes. Does it make your life more challenging? Absolutely. But being disabled doesn't mean I can't be successful and have a family and have anything that I want. And so when people are like, yeah, I want to walk again someday, like I have often tried to like reconcile that, because I have grown up around learning about self-determination, learning about being somebody who speaks up for themselves, learning about being comfortable in my skin as somebody with a disability. And so when somebody wants to like go back on that, rather than like owning that, I call it my badge of courage, right? And like owning that badge of courage, it's something I've always tried to like reconcile with and understand. And again, I am never trying to like disparage someone's dream, but I also think like if we were all more accepting as people with disabilities, I think society would be more accepting as a whole too, which then would help with all of the stigma and other difficult discussions that we always talk about.
Yeah, you definitely got to take what you've got and work with it. And I was really, really fortunate to be transferred down to the Shepherd Center in Atlanta for most of my hospital stay and my physical therapy. And they're absolutely incredible. They focus a lot on how are you going to leave this hospital in a wheelchair and be independent and live? And, a lot of people there were like, why are you not teaching me to walk? Why are you not working on getting my legs moving? But every injury is different, and that there's nothing you can do to get it back. Once you're paralyzed and you've damaged that spinal cord, there's no cure right now. I didn't do anything to get, the movement that I have back. It just happened, and I was fortunate. But for all those months that I was in the hospital, when I didn't have any movement, I was like, all right, this is my life and I'm in this chair and I need to be able to live. I need to be able to do things. And they were really, really great about practical teaching you how to do your bowel and bladder, program. And I'm really, really appreciative of that. But I also know a lot of people there were patients there that didn't like that side of rehab,
Right.
and were trying to say, I need to be learning how to walk, which, you've got to accept what you've got at the time and just move forward.
Yeah. Well, and again, thank you for like your candor and your openness. Like that was super refreshing, and I really, really appreciate it. Is there anything we're wrapping up here a little bit, but is there anything else that you want to touch on while you're in the spotlight of the podcast?
No, I mean, I think we've had a great chat and hit on a lot of stuff.
Conversation, absolutely,
Yeah.
and a little bit of surprise for you, Evelyn. Once
Yes.
you come on and guest with us, you're an instant co-host. So
Yes.
you're welcome back.
Fun.
You're welcome back anytime, and we'll put you in the driver's seat. It'll be good.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's exciting. Okay.
So if people want to reach out to you and connect with you, where can they find you?
So I am friends with the one and only Matthew Shapiro on Facebook.
Nailed it.
And my name is Evelyn Clark, and my profile picture, I am wearing a yellow scarf in the snow. Feel free to add me, ask me questions. If you've experienced a spinal cord injury and just want to vent, that's more than welcome.
Yes.
I actually do want to plug this girl named Laura that I was in the hospital with at Shepherd. Her Instagram handle is an honest quad, ANHONEST.
Love it.
QUAD. She's gotten a lot of followers on Instagram, and they're well deserved. I think she's absolutely incredible, funny, candid, talking about her experience as someone, newly with a disability. So I would highly,
Quad. We'll find her there for sure.
I'm gonna find
yes.
it as soon as we wrap up, but that's awesome.
Yep.
Well, Evelyn, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the process, and I know people are going to be super excited to hear your episode when it rolls out.
Actually, I think I'm cutting this up into 3 episodes. So
okay.
Wow.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
We got a whole series.
That's right. It's a mini-series. Short run mini-series. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Six Wheels Consulting Disability Podcast with Matthew Shapiro. This is Bob Nolly. Tonight, our special guest was Evelyn Clark. Evelyn, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been
Folks,
great.
just remember, think inclusion, keep rolling forward. See you next time.